The franchise tag deadline came and went yesterday, so we have a lot more clarity now on who will hit free agency coming up on Monday. There were also some players cut. The legal tampering period starts for free agency on Monday. We're only a few days away now. So I want to talk a little bit about free agency, talk about some guys that are now going to be free agents for sure that I think the Bears could target, and just give some of my thoughts overall. Let's get right into it. First up is Colts linebacker Bobby Okira Kay. His name has been circulating throughout Chicago media for about the last week. He's a 26-year-old that started 33 games for Eberflus before he took the job with the Bears. Okira Kay started 16 games this year for the Colts as well and finished with over 150 tackles. I think he's a decent fit, but I do think Flus is looking for more turnovers from the linebacker position, specifically the will. I will not rule this one out though, as he's just too good of a fit. He did have 2 forced fumbles last year, but made 0 interceptions and had 0 sacks. He has 3 career INTs and 2 sacks. I think he's a good fit who would instantly upgrade our linebacker group as long as he doesn't cost too much. The Chiefs recently released pass rusher Frank Clark, and he's a really intriguing addition to free agency. This pass rusher class is a bit underwhelming, and now that Frank Clark is a free agent at age 29, coming off of 3 Pro Bowls in the last 4 years, he's even better in the postseason and maybe looking to join a contending team, but he's still a guy that intrigues me. He would instantly upgrade our defensive line. Speaking of upgrading our defensive line, my number 1 target heading into free agency is Broncos defensive tackle Dre'Mont Jones. He officially did not receive the franchise tag. A lot of people think that he's a defensive end because he's listed as a defensive end in Madden and on some websites out there as well, but he's a defensive end in a 3-4. In a 4-3, he's a perfect fit to come inside and play the 3-tech. I think he's a guy that Eberflus would really like and would be my top target. Get it done, Ryan Poles. We have plenty of money to bring Dre'Mont Jones to Chicago. The Patriots are also letting their standout corner Jonathan Jones hit free agency. He's an interesting option for sure. He had 4 interceptions last year and is a standout corner who just turned 29 years old. I don't know if Jones is a fit because of his age, but I would not overlook cornerbacks this offseason. It's not only a really good class in free agency, but there's also a variety of talented corners in this year's draft as well. Poles will probably add one at some point. On the offensive line, all 3 of my top right tackle options look like they're going to hit free agency. Those guys are the Falcons' Caleb McGarry, the Jags' Jawan Taylor, and 49ers' Mike McGlinchey. Also, surprisingly, the Chiefs didn't put the tag on Orlando Brown either, adding another tackle to the free agent class. I've been back and forth on Orlando, who played great in the Super Bowl but allowed the most pressures in the NFL this season, and he wants to stay at left tackle. I think it would be smart to keep Braxton Jones there, bring in some competition, but spend the big money at right tackle. Add McGarry or Jawan Taylor. If we can solidify the right tackle spot, this offensive line begins to look a lot better. I think Lucas Patrick still could be a decent short-term center, but I would look to draft a developmental center next month as well. This offensive line needs some help this offseason. Personally, I would sign a big-time right tackle, draft a center, and then look to sign or draft a guard as well. I wouldn't cut Cody Whitehair until someone beats him out for his job. My top 2 guards are also hitting free agency. Those guys are the Ravens' Ben Powers and the Eagles' Isaac Seumalo. Both guys would be awesome additions to the interior of this line, and both would be upgrades over Cody Whitehair. And now I have a surprise free agent that a lot of people actually did think would get franchise tagged, Rams kicker Matt Gay. He is set to enter free agency. He's interesting to me. I really like Matt Gay as a kicker. He has a huge leg, is an 88% career field goal kicker who is 17 for 22 from beyond 50 yards. kickers are people too. Cairo Santos struggled last year, and it's kind of rare that elite kickers hit free agency. I think Gay should be a guy to watch out for. He was 28 for 29 last year. If you don't count a 63-yarder he attempted, he's a guy who would stabilize the kicking position for years to come. Sign me up on this one. No one's talking about this, but I think it's a way that Poles could spend a little bit of money and help the team out overall. Clutch kickers really matter, especially if you want to win games. A running back class that looked loaded has been weakened significantly by franchise tags. Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs, and Saquon Barkley all got hit with the tag, taking the top 3 options off the market. I don't see the Bears being interested in the free agent running class. I expect Poles to take advantage of the awesome running back draft class to pair someone with Khalil Herbert. I have no idea where Monty goes yet. What about the wide receiver class? It's also pretty underwhelming, but I still think Poles probably adds at least one guy. Some of the more accomplished names out there include Juju Smith-Schuster, DJ Chark, Robert Woods, and Jacoby Myers, as well as a couple of underrated options like Alan Lazard, Parrish Campbell, and McCole Hardman. You won't find a number 1 target in free agency, but you can find a guy that improves the wide receiver room overall. I think Poles will add to this group. I just don't know if it'll be in free agency or the draft. I also still expect N'Keal Harry to be brought back as well. There weren't any surprise franchise tags, so most of my free agent targets, except for Daron Payne, are all scheduled to enter free agency. Javon Hargrave, Marcus Davenport, Arden Key, Davlin Tomlinson, Tremaine Edmonds. There are a lot of really talented players out there this year. I heard a lot of people say this free agent class isn't very good. I disagree with that personally. I think it's a very talented crop of free agents, more talented than most years in my opinion, at least with how deep of a class it is. There may not be a ton of huge names, but there usually aren't in free agency. To me, there is more talent in this year's group than there normally is, and it's definitely much more talented than last year's class. I expect Poles to make at least 1 to 2 moves in the first day or two of free agency. We should have new Chicago Bears to break down at this time next week. That's wild to think about. There's also the possibility of a big trade on the horizon. It's a crazy and exciting time to be a Chicago Bears fan. I'll be here covering every single move of the entire offseason. I'll be focusing mostly on free agency and any breaking news over the next couple of weeks. Be sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss out. And until next time, bear down.
Thanks for watching Swift Sports Network. Like and subscribe for daily Chicago Bears updates, knowledge over narratives.